My instructions say to answer each question with both means two, with both a common fraction and a decimal fraction. So if I have a common fraction, that means I'm using a fraction bar, and I would have my top number fraction bar and my bottom number. If I'm writing a decimal fraction, then I'm going to be using a decimal point. So I might be writing 0 decimal point and then a digit, or I could write just the decimal point, loud and proud, happy to exist as a decimal point, and the number. But a decimal fraction means that I'm going to be writing a decimal point. A common fraction means that I'm going to be using a fraction bar. What fraction of the toes are hurt? Well, I know we have 10 toes. Each toe would represent a tenth. So I'm going to write a common fraction. I'm going to set up my fraction bar. There are 10 toes in total. What fraction of the toes are hurt? 1/10, or 0 and 1/10. How many kilograms does the package weigh? So here's a scale. There's a box here, or there's a package here. The scale starts at 0 and goes all the way to 1. The scale does not reach all the way to 1. It's pointing here. And so 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10. That's my 5/10 mark. 6/10, 7/10, 8/10. The package is 8/10 of a kilogram. I'm going to write it as a common fraction, which means I'm going to use a fraction bar. There are 8/10, or I can write it as a decimal fraction, which means I'm going to have a decimal point. 8. Actually, that's too big of a gap. Your decimal point and your number are close together. That's better. What part of the pack is left? What part of the pack is left? Well, there's 10 sticks. There's supposed to be 10 sticks of gum. And so when I write my common fraction, out of 10 sticks of gum, the whole would be 10. So tenths. And then how many tenths remain? 1/10, 2/10. And I can write that as a decimal fraction, which means I'm going to use a decimal point. And then you'll just have to carefully read each diagram and complete each task. Remember, you're writing a common fraction and a decimal fraction.